hope this works. Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Maybe through the power of the internet, you can hear and maybe even see me and my co-conspirator up there.
Hello,
Martin Wimpress.
Hello down there.
I don't know why he got the top bunk.
Well,
and I get the bottom.
I
bunk.
made the set, so I got to choose the top bunk.
Hello, everyone. This is the first of our little versus live streams. If you're watching on Twitch, hello, and if you're watching on YouTube, hello in the future. So the whole idea of this is to have a little bit of fun. Myself and my good friend Martin like to play old games from the past, don't we?
We do.
And you can probably tell by the now, which side is it? It's on my left. So down here, there should be a little. Is it on my left? Yeah, there's a little Spectrum, and for Martin on his left, there's a little Commodore 64.
Hopefully, our backgrounds give it away a little bit as well.
There's a bit of that as well. If you recognise the keyboard behind me and is that a blue screen of death behind you, Martin?
Shut your face. That is the epic boot screen for the Commodore 64. You cheeky git.
Oh dear me. So yes, this is 8-Bit Versus, where we get an opportunity to have a bit of cheeky banter about these stupid video games from the past and play some of them. So as you can see from the title card, we've got a couple of games lined up. I chose Manic Miner because I think it's an excellent example of a game from the early days of the single. And what did you choose, Martin?
I chose Bruce Lee, another classic game from the early days of 8-bit home computers. So I think both our choices are from 1983.
Right. And the idea is we do this on a regular basis, maybe every Friday at this time. Come back, tell your friends. And the idea is that we just play these games and then argue about which one's better and argue about which platform is better. Sometimes we'll play different games. Sometimes we'll both play the same games. But this gives me an opportunity to try out the Commodore because I never had a Commodore when I was young because we had some taste. And Martin never had a Spectrum, because his parents were awful and they just wouldn't let him have such a high quality computer.
It's all lies. It's all lies. I mean, to be fair, I did start with the VIC-20. So I went from the VIC-20 to the Commodore 64. The epic Commodore 64. I mean, I think it's a foregone conclusion every week, right? Because I think it's really good of you, Alan, to basically vote yourself onto the losing team every week. But, you know, it's kind of a formality that we play these games for fun and then come to the conclusion that the Commodore 64 is better in every regard.
I'm very happy that you brought your delusion with you to this live. I've turned my volume up because people are telling us in the chat that mine's a little bit low. So I've turned my microphone up. I don't know if that's helped at all. I'm sure they will let me know.
Okay.
Otherwise, Martin may have to press buttons at his end.
Let's hope not, because I've got too many buttons to push already. And in fact, I've also realised I haven't plugged my HDMI cable into our 25-mile-long HDMI connector from my house to your house. So I'm going to have to plumb that in at some point as well in order to get my computer to appear on your screen.
There is some magic voodoo going on that lets us see each other's computer. So I think it's enough with the formalities. Have I missed anything?
Well, there's one critical bit of information we've overlooked here. You are Team ZX Spectrum, and I am Team Commodore 64. But the twist here is I get to play the Spectrum version of these games, and Alan gets to play the Commodore 64 version of these games.
I did explain this, but maybe you zoned out at the point when I started talking about computers and you went all doolally about Commodores and stuff. Anyway, so first up, are we going to play Manic Miner?
It will be Manic Miner, yeah. I can't. Apparently, your HDMI port isn't open at the moment, so I can't plug my end into your end.
Right, but we'll do that when we load the tapes.
Oh, okay, that's a good point. Well, let me go and grab a cassette, and I'll load something up. So we will be back in just a few moments after we've fast loaded a Spectrum game. So hopefully that was the shortest 8-bit load in history.
Oh, look at the colours. Isn't this glorious?
Listen to that.
Music.
I've had to turn the beeper down to 30% because it quite literally melts your frontal
I'm sorry,
lobe.
I can't hear you over the glorious music.
It's just hideous. I mean, and what's the flashing border for? Anyway,
The audience aren't seeing the flashing border.
Actually going to make me have a seizure if I listen to that anymore. So here we go. I'm going to have a go at this ridiculous game.
Right. So this is Miner Willy, and you've got 20 caverns to clear.
20.
There's 20 caverns. We're going to be here.
Okay.
You've got to collect the flashy things. Look at the wonderful myriad.
Look at that color clash. Look at that. Look at the poor man as he jumped. Look at that. Oh, was white, now red.
He's going
was
behind
right.
a glass.
Everything is wrong with this.
It's like they saw the future. It's like those glass stairs in the Apple store. You know, he's just going behind that.
Honestly, you said about me bringing my delusion with me, but look at this terrible, terrible, terrible thing. Oh no! This game is monstrously hard as well. I hate it. I did actually practice earlier, and I still can't get off the first sodding level. So here we go
what
again.
I would do is stop talking.
Okay.
Play the game. So there are a number of flashy things you've got to get, and you've got to not hit the plants. And the icicles on the top also kill you. The collision detection is perfect. That's pixel perfect.
It's tight, is what it's unforgiving.
Yes.
I went back and looked at a magazine review of this game, from the era, and they said, it was unimaginably hard mode from the very beginning. It's unforgivingly difficult.
I think what that means is value for is what that says. is that you're going to get a good few hours out of this. Right, you're going to do... Oh, well done. So you have to get all of the things, and then you have to get back down to the flashy thing. Look at that effect. It's flashing in 2 colours.
I know, it's
now, don't make the mistake of walking
like
on top of the alien.
30% of the colours being used for that effect right there.
That's the blink effect.
Oh my goodness, I'm actually going to clear level 1.
Yeah.
The pressure of being live. Okay.
Yes.
So, and it says air down the bottom, so I have got a time limit to do this, right?
You have a time limit, and you get bonus for the amount of air left.
Is he going to come all the way over here?
No. It's also worth noting, if you get 10,000, you get an extra life. Now, that's well done. See, I never know whether to get that one last or get it like early on.
I'm not quite sure.
I think this was ahead of the game because it had loads of mechanics that you still see in like these kind of like level games. It's got the moving walkway. It's got the things that drop away. It's got fixed path aliens.
This was the beauty of this era in that, most of these games were inventing genres. This isn't the only game that...
See, you could have gone up over the top, I think.
Or I could have just done it the way I did it. Honestly, what was wrong with that? Oh, no.
You've not been here, have you?
No. I immediately died. Okay, that's 100% improvement on the last... Oh, the noise.
Did you save? Oh, you didn't save where you were.
How do I do that?
No, saving wasn't a thing back then.
No, I was going to say.
Do you know what I love about this is the brickwork. that brickwork graphic with the red with the yellow for the mortar is just a classic. I used to draw that on graph paper as a kid with like red and yellow pens. You should be paying attention to the screen, not listening to me talk about brickwork, Martin.
We'll get some more brickwork in my game later. Dear. This is miserable. So
you've got 10,000 points to get an extra.
Yeah, thank you for that.
You're
That's
at
very
200
helpful
right now. Yeah. I always thought it was a bit stingy with the number of lives it gave you, this game, but
you need 3 lives per screen, really.
Well, you do.
Shut your face. Also,
yeah,
this is kind of different from like modern games in that you cannot move off the screen you're on until you've cleared it, right? There's no free movement.
Yeah, I mean there are still some games that do single screen. Most local multiplayer games these days are single. But this is just also note that it's only actually using 2/3 of the screen for the actual gameplay. There's a giant black area down the bottom just to tell you how many lives you've got.
Yeah. And this is a theme I noticed actually, that there was lots of games from this era that, considering how I think the Spectrum's 256 by 192, it's not a lot of pixels to play with, and yet they've given up like 1/3 of the meager resolution to displaying what? No! Oof.
Oh, well done, well recovered there.
That was a bit of a stress. To display basically nothing.
Yeah. But then what would you put there? I mean, you could make the player.
Well, you could make the level a bit bigger.
Yeah, but I mean, they only had 48K of RAM, these things. So, as I understand it, I remember reading an article. It was Matthew Smith who wrote this game, and I think he said he used a TRS-80 to write the code, and then squirt it down a cable into the Spectrum, and like playtest it on the Spectrum itself. But he coded on a completely different computer.
That was commonplace
my mind
back then.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've done it again. I can't jump up there.
Yeah. You've done it again.
Right, shut your face.
This is the menagerie. So
the
animals.
What? Oh right,
spiders.
okay.
Are they emus? I think.
Looks like they could be emus or ostriches. Can I jump across there?
Yeah, if you jump left.
I can pick the key up, but I can't get up there. So now I've got to go all the way.
I think if you fall too far, you'll die.
Yes, I found that out earlier. And it's not that much further. It's like a fraction of a pixel longer than you can jump, and you're dead. Oh,
how are you gonna do that now?
Like this.
So, what joystick are you using for this? Oh man.
I'm actually using the Competition Pro for this one.
Nice.
So I was going to use the QuickShot 2 Turbo, which is now unplugged over there. But I went with this because we're playing ostensibly platformers this evening, and this is just a bit tighter, despite my dismal performance. Oh, that was tight.
Yeah. Got to level 3, which is good.
Yep, it's an improvement. Let's see if we can. Beat level 3. So I have to say. Now I've played this a little bit and I'm not quite as terrible at it. I'm kind of enjoying this. I do enjoy the simplicity of these games, which is why I come back to them to this day, because I don't have a lot of time to invest in playing games. And a lot of the games you get involved in today require many hours of investment to sort of get some reward, and these don't.
Well, to be fair, you had an investment of whatever your pocket money was.
Right.
So it was like 8 quid or whatever for this game.
Yeah.
And then there was the investment of 5 to 10 minutes every time to load the thing. And once you've committed that 5 or 10 minutes, that you're committed to playing the game. It's not like a smartphone these days where you load a game and then you go, I got bored of that immediately and load something else that loads instantly. Like the fact that it took a while to load and you had to walk to the newsagent to buy it, I think meant that you were more committed to playing it.
I mean, I think these games back then were a tenner. The big budget games were a tenner. and I think
don't
I
think
was
this would be
getting
classed as
£6 a
being
week from my paper round. So, you know, if I was going to buy a big budget game, it was 2 weeks of paper round, some of which will have been absorbed by buying marshmallows during the intervening 2 weeks. So, hey, look at this. I haven't lost a life yet.
What it does highlight is gameplay is everything. So
It
doesn't
needed
matter
to be, yeah.
the fact there's colour clash and there's very few pixels.
The colour clash isn't too bad in this game.
No, it's not. I mean, but that's the benefit of having square blocks that you're jumping over.
Yeah.
Like they take up an 8x8 block, which is where you would see the colour clash when you go in front or behind. And most of the animals don't go in front or behind stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is very... Like I say, both our games... Oh, gosh, that was close.
Good lord, nearly lost your hat then.
It was a bit close. Oh, no! Oh!
Sorry, what was that? Did you just kick that bird in the face?
I got very close to... Oh! Oh, no! No. So it's interesting that this game has 20 levels, because the one I've chosen also has 20 levels. Now, why did you pick this particular game?
I think this was... It's a very memorable game. It's a good first one. I'm definitely not suggesting that this is in our little, battle between the two systems. I'm not suggesting this is the pinnacle of Spectrum gaming by any stretch. But it's just one that you could very easily pick up. It's very easy to play, and it's fun, and it's frustrating as well. And I think it is
frustrating. Come on, you picked this monstrosity of a game. Are you going to show me how it's done?
I'm going to have to play on the Commodore now, aren't I?
You are going to have to play on the Commodore. So, have you got a tape handy?
Tape, then.
Yeah. All right then. Well, let me see if I can find the fast loader. We'll be back in a moment. In fact, we'll be back in a moment. We're getting quite good at these fast loaders. That was great. So,
I'm not. Is this more colourful? This doesn't feel as colourful. It feels like I'm looking at this through. I don't know.
The colours on the Commodore 64 were definitely more muted, but there were more of them. Although it doesn't look like they've. Yeah, I mean, I've still got my Spectrum running here, and it looks like they've just lifted that screen directly to the Commodore. There's okay, this is very much the same, in fact.
I think, isn't it? Haven't they shrunk the resolution to make it?
It looks like they may have done.
Pixel perfect, the same.
It is identical, mind you. There's no color clash there, so now we're seeing the superiority of the Commodore 64.
Did you see how I jumped straight onto the second level?
Yeah, okay, that doesn't actually help prove that the Spectrum is any better than the Commodore. Oh, he's dead.
Oh, that collision detection is rubbish.
It's spot on. It's spot on.
Nowhere near.
Yeah, you were. You were right on it. I could see you were going to hit that as you were in the air, but immediately I can see that there's no color clash, and that does make a difference. And also, the grass.
Why are the plants purple?
Well, here we go, because we've got purple is an option, of course.
Well, yeah, but why is green? Give plants a green on this.
Well, you had magenta, didn't you? Maybe it took up more
Yes.
RAM, and that the 48K just couldn't cope with using these additional colours.
Oh, I don't think so.
Anyway, yes,
up onto the second shelf.
It's
Sorry.
interesting to
I
me
realised
because I didn't think there was going to be that much difference, but the subtle differences that exist between the two, the Commodore version is definitely better. The flashing, for example, look, that's going through more colours. That effect of the gate at the end.
I
there.
am in danger of having some kind of fit watching that.
Oh, shut your face.
A nice, sedate...
Retro Gaming Denmark.
Oh! Bum!
Oh, so we're getting some feedback here that apparently it looks like the Commodore version is running slowly compared to the Spectrum version. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Shouldn't be. We have got things set up so that they are running at their... Well, it is true that despite the fact that the Spectrum was basically a glorified calculator, its Z80 CPU did run at a slightly higher clock than the C64. You suck at this.
I'm going to blame USB lag or something.
Now,
the reason I can tell you the reason why. Hang on.
Go on.
The reason why is because this joystick, the fire button, is a little bit recessed. And I keep having to press it really quite hard to get a jump, so my jumps are not quite timed.
While you're on the topic, what joystick are you using there?
Oh, I am using the king of joysticks.
It's not the king of joysticks, you thief. The king of joysticks is the mighty QuickShot 2 Turbo, because it said it on the outside of the box. The king of joysticks.
Yeah, but the problem is that thing is a hefty thing.
No, it's not.
I have small lady hands. I could not hold the base of that.
Oh, you're terrible at this game.
Dude, look. Fire button on this joystick is a bit iffy.
Yeah, so just peeking behind the curtain a little bit here. I
wouldn't peek behind the curtain in episode.
No, it's fine. Lance makes a good point as well. This game is so early on in the 8-bit home computer era that there is no stonking soundtrack that's absolutely belting out the best that the SID chip can muster. Which was, something a lot of games we got to enjoy as we got later into the 80s.
Ow, fudge.
Yeah. I mean, this game was...
Collision detection is awful.
No, it's not awful. It's spot on. You just suck. But the reason that you're able to use that Connex Speed King is because I popped over to your house earlier today to deliver one of these marvellous bits of kit. So this is... a Retronix D-port to USB adapter. So this can convert any of your original 8-bit era D-port joysticks and have them work on a modern computer system. And the most important thing here is some of you will know Alan and I, and some of you may not. We're using Linux to do all of this, and that Retronix device has... got Linux kernel drivers, so it works perfectly with everything. So that's what I've been using with my joysticks, and Alan is using with his. Oh, you're going to clear a level?
Enough
this is brilliant.
behind-the-scenes nerdy tech talk.
Yeah.
Talk about the game, dude.
It's just better on the Commodore 64, is my opinion.
Oh my gosh.
That's a poor choice of colours. Obviously inspired by the Spectrum colour clash. They were clearly trying to recreate the terrible colour experience of the Spectrum in this. What are you doing?
I wanted to catch it going the other way.
Okay. I feel like I was trailblazing for you. I think you would suck more at this if you hadn't had the opportunity of seeing my epic gameplay earlier on.
Really? Really? Because I wouldn't have seen this epic gameplay like 30 years ago.
So, Retro Gaming Denmark, the whole point of this is Alan and I are basically using this as an opportunity to take the rise out of one another. Don't take it too seriously that we're slating the different systems.
Retro, you are totally right. It is prejudice against the Sinclair Spectrum. It's awful. I have to put up with this all the damn time.
I'm not sure.
I agree. he was kind enough to pop around my house earlier and drop off a thing that let me play this
Oh! So,
game. Right. Have I got time for one more? I've got time.
Yeah, totally. You've got plenty of time. In fact, I think we're well ahead of schedule here. I didn't know how long we were going to spend doing this. I mean, I quite fancy another go, to be honest with you.
I think the notes say something along the lines of do it until one of us gets bored playing.
Yeah, they do. I didn't get bored. I just felt we needed a change of scenery. So yeah, we're
muted. Yes.
We're kind of rekindling our playground arguments as to which was better, the Commodore or the Spectrum. So some of the slagging off, you suck. Some of the slagging off of the qualities of the platforms is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, except for the fact that we both agree the Commodore 64 was superior in every regard.
Oh, God damn.
It feels like it's tighter. You haven't got as much width as I had when I was playing. That jump between the purple plants there.
I think it's pixel perfect. I think it's exactly the same.
It's very close.
It is.
Nice.
Ding. That little ding noise is quite nice.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, is that the best music you can get on?
No, we'll get to that in future episodes, cheeky git. We have heard the best the Spectrum can do already. In episode 1, that terrible.
No. I am saving some quality musical. I think they're called tunes.
Oh my god!
For a later episode, some good old specky tunes.
Yes,
totally.
No,
we're I don't want to spoil you too early, and go romping ahead.
So Retro Gaming Denmark, both these games are running at 60 hertz. Just so you know, behind the scenes, that's how we're running everything out.
Well,
here.
And also, we are using emulators, despite the old Spectrum joystick and Commodore style joystick. We are, we're not playing on real hardware. There's no secret.
In fact, I lied. The Commodore is rendering at 50 hertz.
It is rendering at 50 hertz. Menagerie, here we come.
Oh, right, you're up a level. Okay. That's a bit more agreeable, that colour scheme, but that's very similar to the other one. So, this is the Spectrum version. No, to the Spectrum version with the black background. They should have stuck with that as the backdrop colour. Oh, you've... Ooh!
Right, come on, birds. Come on, birds.
Come on, then. It looks like a turkey dinner. It's nearly Christmas. Oh, it's perfect. He's done it. He's only gone and done it.
Get in there. Have that, Menagerie.
I'm definitely going to have another go now. I can't tolerate the fact you've got a level higher than me.
Oh, my God, I don't know how. Oh, God. Oh, you're going to learn how to do this. Now that I'm showing you how to do it.
Oh, hey, Sneaky.
Oh, look at that.
There's some familiar names in here. Sorry, Cheese. Hello, Cheese. I know you. Also referring to a discussion.
Yes, Martin, come on. Engage.
I am. I'm looking. So don't dismiss the sound capability of the ZX Spectrum. I can completely dismiss the lack of sound on the ZX Spectrum. That's completely fine. It was...
I don't know which one I have to get. Is it
that one? Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Do they melt beneath you? Oh no, you're fine.
These two don't. No, but you have to be. I think you have to be like hanging on the edge.
Right. This is by your heels, is it? I seem to remember some of this. Can you get that? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're seals balancing balls on their nose. Hopefully, you can see that the quality. Hopefully, you should be able to make that out. It looks okay here. I'm watching both ends of the stream.
I don't think I can make that jump. I think I have to go back and go.
Which? Ooh. Oh. You must be able to make it. One way or another, surely.
Up this way.
Okay.
I think I have to go that way. But you can't jump from the top.
Oh, I see. Right, because you hit your head and it falls down. Toilets.
Eugene's there. This is the tough one. I don't think in my life I have this one.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. This could be the pinnacle of my gaming. Oh no!
Look
Oh,
out,
God,
everyone!
no.
This is the pinnacle of what you. Oh, toilet! Oh, oh,
Down
oh,
the toilet.
what?
Literally went down the toilet. So these colours are a bit awful, aren't they?
Yes, that red background is a terrible idea. I bet the Spectrum version doesn't have a red background like that. Oh, that was too far to fall, right? Okay.
Right, should we move on to the next game?
We're going to move on to the next game, or do I get another crack at that?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, you'll be able to go if you want.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Do you
mind.
want to load another tape?
Yeah, I'll grab the tape and the fast loader again, and we'll see if we can make that go. So I'm running turbo load the Spectrum version. Okay.
I can't see your screen.
Ah, yes, you can't see my screen. I forgot to plug my HDMI cable in. Let's try that. And I should have connected it, so hopefully you'll get a signal through your end in just a moment.
Why am I seeing... Oh, it's the running through the demo
Yeah,
thing.
you're set.
Right, go for it. Go on.
Okay. Oh. Okay, this is my last go at this, and then we're going to switch games around. I just can't tolerate that Alan got further in his than I did.
Also, I got further on your platform.
Shut your face. So, I don't think I had this on the Commodore 64. I'm pretty sure I played this on the Spectrum at friends' houses back in the day.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones everyone has played at some point.
I mean,
see, you didn't make the second. You didn't make the jump.
I don't care.
Actually, this does look wider.
Yeah, it does. The aspect ratio is definitely different.
A bit different.
We have found that we had to do some aspect ratio maths, didn't we, in order to fit the screens nicely into our set.
So, Retro Gaming Denmark says he has around 10 ZX Spectrums and only 3 Commodore 64s. So that clearly Spectrums are better. Otherwise, why would he have 10?
Well, he's clearly misguided. I think that's what we're learning here.
They're also pointing out it runs slightly faster on real hardware.
Yeah, as I said earlier, yeah, the processor, despite being weedy and basically a calculator, it does run faster, the Z80 in the Spectrum than the 6502 in the Commodore. But then again, it looks and sounds like this, so it's not all bad.
Are these tennis? No, they're not. They're ice shoes, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess they are. Snowshoes.
I always thought they were tennis rackets, but now it makes more sense being it's cold.
Yeah, the benefit of being older and wiser.
Yeah. I
was 11 when this game came out.
Yeah.
Snowshoes
didn't feature.
Bother.
In my life. You go back.
Oh, I got it. No, I got it.
Oh, you can do it. Go jump out. And go,
oh. Okay, it's good. It's golden.
Oh, he said no. He means the emulator runs a bit. Interesting. Yeah. Wonder why that is.
Don't know.
Is it something? So retro. Is it something that can be tweaked with a dial? Is there, or is it just the code is inefficient or something? I don't know.
Oh, I've made that mistake again.
Ooh, that was close. Remember to jump over the bird. There we go. Well done. Well done. Well done. You're out of the menagerie. What's next? Eugene's lair?
Yeah.
No. Is it?
Well, I don't know. I haven't done this one.
Uranium workers. Yes, this is the one that I successfully did, but you have not yet reached.
No.
Means I'm better at this game than you.
Yeah, okay, I get what you're going with there. We're trying to fix that right now. Oh.
I fully expect to get a message on Telegram from you saying, I've been playing Manic Miner all night and I've beaten you now.
You know me so well.
So, for anyone watching, the plan is to do this on a regular basis. Live on Twitch on a Friday, and then we'll archive them on YouTube so people can watch them later on there if they missed us.
Yeah.
And if you want to get all the notifications and stuff, you'll find on Twitch, if you scroll down, you'll find links to all the YouTube and I don't need to send you the link to Twitch, although you might miss. So, but we're basically 8-bit. Oh, don't do that, Martin. We're 8-bit verses everywhere. So, like everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube.
So
Facebook,
I'm curious how Retro
Tumblr.
Gaming Denmark found us.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Given this is our first time out, and basically the only
Long live 8-bit indeed. Yes. Long live 8-bit.
Oh no! Right,
Oh,
okay,
dear
that's
me.
officially the end of that game. So, oh, that awful sound.
If you press scroll lock, it'll make it stop.
Well, I tell you what, why don't we get a fast loader out? Who's going to play next, you or me?
I'm playing next.
You're
I'm
playing next.
whatever you're...
You're playing my game. Okay, so next up it will be Bruce Lee on the Commodore 64. So let's just get that fast loader going. One moment. Here we go. Okay, so we got the fast load done, and here's Popey in the Commodore version of Bruce Lee. Now, curiously, I chose this game because it was one of the first games that I played in the 8-bit era, but interestingly, it wasn't on the Commodore. The first time I played this was on the Spectrum at my mate Stephen's house.
So explain something to me.
Yeah.
Hang on. Before you do history, I need to know gameplay, right?
Right.
What am I doing?
You need to pick... There's little twinkly lanterns in the levels there. You need to collect all the lanterns. So, despite the name Bruce Lee, this is ostensibly a platformer, a bit like Jet Set Willy. Although I feel like this has got a little bit better gameplay because you can move between the so-called chambers freely. So you don't have to pick up those two lanterns to get to the next chamber on your right.
Oh, landed on the fat green thing.
Yeah, he's what's his name? He's the Green Yamo, I believe, is what he was referred to.
What? I don't think I ever played this. Partly because I was never into karate, and my mates had like ER Kung Fu and that, but I was never really into it. This doesn't seem to have a whole big fighting dynamic. It's all collect the lanterns.
It is basically collect the lanterns, and there's a little bit of an extra dynamic that the the characters on the screen there are there to sort of slow up your progress. What I like about this game is these characters are as vulnerable to the traps in the landscape as you are. So
I didn't know there were traps.
Well, you haven't got
defeat
far
these?
enough to see traps.
I
So
don't know, but...
if you run and hit the action button, you will do a flying kick, and if you're stood still, you will punch. There we go.
Yeah, I don't want to punch the wall though. That's probably not.
And the way this works is you can have so many hits until they knock you on your ass, and that's a fall, and you have 4 falls. What you would refer to as live. So you can get knocked down a few times. You get a fall, and then that's like a life reset. But unlike Jet Set Willy, and we're not sort of comparing these two games directly, but unlike Jet Set Willy, you don't have to start over from the very beginning.
Yeah, I was started on this screen.
Yeah. There's some, because of the limitations of the platforms, there's a nice little cheat you can do here where if you're between levels, you can flip between chambers and it resets the levels. So you can actually, wipe the characters off the screen.
Cheeky?
He got you,
What's
yeah.
it? Oh, I thought it was a woman. Is it a bloke?
That's a sumo.
I thought it was a woman with a bra on. It doesn't look... It doesn't look like a...
So it's a green sumo wrestler. And there's an interesting quote that says something like, on the platforms that supported it, he's green. And you'll see a little bit later what the Spectrum made of that. So, you figured out...
Are you suggesting the Spectrum might not be as colourful as this?
I am exactly suggesting that, yes.
Outraged, you might suggest.
Yeah.
Ah.
Well, I think Bruce Lee is pictured, so Retro Gaming's pointing out it might be a little bit of a racist game, but maybe if you think of him as a Simpsons character, it's not quite so bad.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, the colours aren't rich enough for me to like identify them.
There was a pink colour on the Commodore 64. They could have used that. But this Bruce Lee was sort of a classic, even in the early days. It's got very rudimentary sound. It's not at all fancy.
It's just bleepy bloopy.
Yeah. And the music is like 2 bars long. But
it's isn't it Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
It sounds a lot like it, doesn't it? But it can't be because
I'm showing myself being super uncultured, and actually the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles come from somewhere else.
This predates that, of course.
Yeah, but how do I get out of it?
You have to go back to your left. So now you've cleared those 3 chambers, a trap door will have opened on another screen, which will take you to another level. And you're in like a wizard's lair. So these are, there it is. So there's that was previously had a cover on it.
Gotcha. Oh, they follow you down.
Yup. So as I understand it, the ninja character isn't one character. It's a new ninja is presented each time a ninja dies, whereas the Yamo is the same character.
Is there any sound for the people on the live stream? Is there any sound?
Yeah, I can hear some sound. It's very quiet, but it's quiet because it wasn't very, it wasn't a loud game, this one. Unlike the bleeper on Manic Miner on the Spectrum.
Very faint, like, punching noise. Oh my god, he respawned quick, didn't he? Look at that.
Let me turn up.
Punch me down into the laser field thing. There. Right. I'm not sure about this.
Really?
So you could yeah.
Yeah, just the clicks. That's really yeah.
No, does Frank mean just the clicks?
Your joystick.
My joystick.
We could invoke Hammer Time and just have a little experiment with audio levels.
Yeah, we could.
Do we want to do that?
We could go into technical difficulties mode.
That's Hammer Time right there. Should we do that?
Yeah.
Okay then. Right, we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Okay, we've twiddled some knobs.
So you should be able to hear not the sound of my joystick.
The scuttling is a little bit louder, yes.
Oh, man.
Yes, whoever that was has spotted. Yes, this was just an opportunity to press some buttons on the Stream Deck and play with the set. You're absolutely right. We have.
We're so transparent.
I mean, in all seriousness, this all looks very simple, but we've been working on this for about 6 months.
100% more scuttle. Oh, you can't get me in mid-flight. That's not fair.
Oh. Game over.
Take that, ninja.
Oh. So this game was originally written on the 8-bit Atari platforms, the 400, 800,
Really?
and XL. Yeah, so
20,
that was its
20,
debut platform, and then it got ported to just about everything else following that. So I think everything 8-bit of the era got a version of this game, and this was on a compendium release of they sold 1 million. So this game actually sold 1 million copies around the world. It was certainly one of the early
I'm sure that
classics.
Sure there were no other games to play. So
I tell you, you're so cheeky.
Well,
the fact that you suck at
it
is no reason
did you
to.
say this came out in
83. So this came out the same
Right.
time as that monstrosity we were just playing.
that monstrosity that you managed to play four screens of?
Yeah.
You got 25% of the way through, so 20% of the way through. I think that's pretty reasonable, don't you? I'm really not sure about this game.
Oh, thank you very much, Scout. That's very kind of you to say.
What's that?
It's saying that our transitions are looking pretty good for our first time out. So that's very, very kind of you. Technically, this is our first public outing. We have had a couple of private pilots.
Don't ruin the compliment. The guy's giving you a compliment. Just say thank you.
Yeah, but it didn't happen by accident. We have put a little bit of effort into this.
On the first thing, Jesus, dude. Hey, I landed on his head.
Hey, Turf, how you doing? Tux Rumus originally played this on an Atari and later on the Speccy. Yeah, like I said, I first played this on the Spectrum, and then I bought this on the Commodore a couple of years later when it came out on that compendium tape of They Sold 1 Million. So, yeah.
Was that one of those like compilation, like double tape things?
Yeah. I think there was.
Mid-flight.
It was one of those stupid. It was awful. Can you remember this? It used to tell you what the tape counter reference was for the different games. You'd have 2 games on each side of the cassette, and you'd have to fast forward to tape counter position 264. But of course, those counters weren't exactly accurate. So it was like I
was going to say they're not all consistent.
So nice you'd get somewhere in the right ballpark and have to find the silence and then mark it on your own system.
Right, this is going to be tough. Let's go over here and then punch this guy in the face.
Yeah, that's good punching. Good job.
I say face. It's just kind of a blur. Is this so? Did the Commodore have multiple graphics modes?
Yes, it did. Although most of the games all used the same mode, but if you go and look at the Commodore 64 demo scene, there's you can actually get some still images that are rendered with 256 colours on the Commodore 64.
Whoops.
But yeah, generally this was it.
Dangerously close to rage quit. Was.
Oh! He's bashing you on the head as you're falling. So yeah, you've missed that one now. I know the completionist in you will hate that. You can't get back up there.
Can you not?
No.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, well, I think what you'll find is later on later on you'll be able to go up that little pink thing when you get to a lower chamber. Well, I say when you get to a lower chamber. There's no way you'll get into a lower chamber, but dead.
That is outrageous. That's an outrageous slur on my capability as a gamer. I'm a hardcore gamer, don't you know?
Well, you are now. You're streaming on Twitch. I mean, we're streaming a game from 36 years ago. Clearly, hardcore gamer.
That's close.
Oh, now he's going to kick your ass in that time. Oh, see, do you see what happened there? He got nixed by the hazards.
What are those hazards?
Well, those are like daggers being, launched.
This is set in the past, right?
Yes, this is medieval times. You're in a wizard's lair, I believe. This is where this game was set.
It's alternating one.
Yeah, it does. So it can change direction. Oh, you're dead.
I didn't know that was a...
Those are swords, by the way.
Well... Yeah, I kind of do want to get onto later screens, but...
I can show you how to do that if you like.
Oh yeah, show me on the Spectrum, where the experience will be better.
Well, we will bring up the Spectrum. Right, let's get our Spectrum fast loader going. Here we go then. That was fast.
So this is immediately a more colourful and pleasing presentation, which also tells me what the keys are.
You say pleasing. The keys. Oh, you animal. I mean, this is the first thing I see is I have to say I want to use a joystick, and I've got like three options. Because
choices.
Hey? Choices. Well, not choices really, because the Spectrum didn't come with joystick ports by default. You had to buy an extra adapter for that, so that was an outlay, and then you had to buy the joystick as well. So it's altogether an expensive proposition. Right. So apparently I have to press.
I put it to you. If I bought a Spectrum and a Kempston interface and a joystick, it would still come in under the price of an entire Commodore 64.
Rubbish. It's lies and propaganda. Right, okay, so I've selected Kempston, which I think is what I need to use for this game. So let's press enter. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, disappoint.
That's beautiful.
That's hideous.
That animation, that's way faster.
Yeah, so whatever was said about the... yes, that is quite the contrast. I'm not going to deny that. That is... The
sound was, on the Commodore, it was scuttling, like... This is actually sounding like they got a Foley artist to record the sound of footsteps.
The artist, get over yourself, you fucking idiot.
And then sampled that into the Spectrum.
Sampled it. Oh, good lord. Oh, my. The delusion is strong in this one, people.
Also, I noticed that the lanterns are coloured, which they weren't on the Commodore.
No, they twinkled on the Commodore, but they didn't have colour clash. I don't know if you spotted that. They were perfectly rendered, not.
No, they didn't have colour clash because they didn't have colour.
Didn't mean to do that. Oh, you're going to get a kick in the face. There we go.
Do you know what this guy reminds me of? Is the character, the way he's running, reminds me of the characters in Back to School and School Days.
Oh, School Days, yeah, I do remember that one. Right.
I'll check you out doing your running kick, flying kick.
I know. It's
like you're some kind of professional karate guy.
Like I'm a professional streamer, I'll have you know.
Are you headbutting the wall over there in the corner?
Shut your face.
I like how when you fly past them and punch them, they just kind of stand still and go, "Oh, okay," and then they come after you a little while. Someone actually programmed the AI in this.
Yeah, and also one of the gameplay modes.
That's so colourful.
Oh, it's so magenta. It's
Look at
awful.
the green moss.
Oh no, this
And
is a
the
bad place.
fruit.
This is a bad place to be.
Go on,
Oh,
put it down into the thing.
damn it.
Or him.
That's
It
what I was
looks
trying
like
to do.
Leia, Fat Princess Leia.
Oh,
That thing.
nuts. I have to come back for that one later.
Yeah, the jump is much faster as well, smoother. I think the sprites move. Oh, sorry, I say sprites. Even without sprites, this thing looks smoother.
Yeah, you know what? I'm thinking we need to do some work with the way we've got our emulator configured for the Commodore 64 because it's not flattering that the Spectrum looks quicker. I'm sure it's not supposed to be that much faster.
Oh my gosh! So Retro says there was a Bruce Lee improvement hack released for the ZX Spectrum last month.
No
with better
way.
graphics and sprites and animations. What are the chances of that happening? We'll have to dig that
There
out.
was a Bruce Lee 2 by the same author, I believe, and
Is it the same kind of thing, level flipping thing? Or is
I've
it
never
like a
played it,
scroll
so I don't know. So maybe that one can turn up in a later episode.
Oh, by the way, speaking of later episodes, we should mention Zap. I could totally see that was coming. If you want to suggest games that we should play, then do so in any of the million ways you can contact us, either in the chat here, if there's games you think we probably played and we would like to play and you'd like to see us. It's better if it's one that's available for both systems, but it doesn't have to be, because we might play like a genre of game where I play the best in shoot 'em ups on the Spectrum and Martin plays the best in shoot 'em ups on the Commodore. So they might not be the same game every time. But if you have suggestions on best game, do let us know. Okay, Sleepy, I won't mention her name again. Oh, you've got further.
Who's her name?
A name we shouldn't mention, so I won't mention it.
Oh.
Look at the beautiful colours.
Ah, damn it.
What are those things coming out of the ground?
They're like the equivalent of medieval mines. They're like acid explosions, I think, if I remember correctly. Oh, here's that terrible... Listen to this. Listen to it. I mean, I'm really listening to it. It's very loud in my ears. It's just the worst. Okay, and also, I don't like this. So it can't remember that my preference is Kempston, because it clearly doesn't have enough RAM for that.
That's like one bit.
Yeah, exactly. They've used all of the bits, and
they used all the bits for that big hippo thing on the first screen.
Yeah, they've oh, missed that one. There we go.
So is this 20 levels? Did you say?
There's 20 screens. Yeah, and they're referred to as chambers because they're chambers of a wizard's palace or something. Oh, you little whatnot. That little guy with the stick, he is a right... Let's see him, he's beating up the sumo guy now.
Fight.
Yeah, they will whack each other. And yeah, something I didn't say is if you were playing locally, you could choose to play one of you could be the sumo, one of you could be Bruce Lee.
Ha! That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and the other thing you could do was you could do alternate goes. So you could both play Bruce Lee, but you would have alternate lives.
Right.
And I seem to remember that's how I used to play it with my mate. And back then I was, well, more terrible at it then than I am now. And I can remember him carrying me. As you know,
you've been practicing, haven't you?
I've been Well, I was just having a little play earlier, but clearly, you know, I'm just better at this game than you. I think that's...
Retro's made a suggestion of a game.
Go on.
That would likely mean we would be sat here all night, which is a cooperative Hobbit playthrough.
Now, I have to say, I did play that as well on the Spectrum at my mate's house, and I hated that game. Those adventure things just were not my...
Yeah, I wasn't a massive fan, but now I've actually seen the films. I haven't read the books, but seen the films. It's something that it's something I would like have a clue as to what things were, because I didn't.
Oh, what? As in what to do?
Yeah, because I didn't know who all the characters were.
I can remember reading the books in order to try and make progress in the computer game.
He's saying if you hate it, it'll be a fun show. That is true.
Well, yes, we have to be careful about that. Alan did make me play a game I hated the other day, and I'm not sure it was good entertainment.
I think actually we should have a
games I hated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, an 8-bit hate fest.
Oh, just climbed up into the and he went down into
yeah,
the,
they so you see how it's changed directions.
dark.
Now I'm having to work harder to climb up this thing.
Yeah,
and so therefore I have to go. These can be a bit tricky on the Spectrum one. It can be a little bit finicky about where you are and where you get on and off. Right. Let's see if I can time this stupid thing. I don't like these long drops. I was never very good at timing these long drops.
No.
As evidenced by that. Oh, come on. I do actually quite like this game. I mean, apart from the fact that you suck at it, what do you think?
I don't know, but I don't think I suck at it. I did relative. I got to this screen, which is not bad, before getting annoyed, stroke bored with it. Nice one. Yeah, I like the plants. I really like the graphics in it.
I have to say,
you've got brickwork. You've got the little hatches at the side that look like what they call trellises at the side. The downside is the single color of the character.
Yeah,
and the
that's the only limiting thing, really. And I think maybe they did that deliberately to limit the clash because.
Yes.
There we go. That's one of the advantages of them being affected by the hazards. Oh!
You could kick them into the hazard.
No! And I've gone too far.
Whoopsie. So as I was saying, if you have any suggestions for games or genre, like if there's a particular genre you think we might want to play against each other, let us know. 1942. Yes.
Oh, now that'll be an interesting one.
Is it Tuxedoramus? Yes, 1942 is a great game, and that is just up and left, right, fire. But didn't it have a roll? Do a barrel roll?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I think that's on space or shift or something on the Commodore.
Right. Yeah, that's it. Because some games needed one fire button, so you have to use the keyboard, or just use the keyboard like a normal person.
Like an animal. Oh, like an animal.
Timing was terrible there.
Thank you for that. I have got further on this one than you on your platform, so I feel like in your face for your Manic Miner comments earlier.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I think we've both achieved something today.
So you see how it's changed direction now?
Yeah, it's changed direction.
I'm going to be very patient and wait because it's really difficult to get that one when it's flowing against you.
What, and not overdo it and climb
and get stuck on that sword. So what we'll do is we can just like hold ourselves here and wait until it changes direction. But this is also a slightly dangerous tactic because what can happen is it changes direction and it boosts you along at like, the first few catch-ups are like super quick. So then you go leaping up into... Here we go. We're off. We're climbing.
Right.
Okay.
Nice. I thought you were going to walk into that sword then.
It's close.
Yeah.
Ah, this is interesting. Oop.
Yeah, Frank MCB is saying doesn't remember anyone having a Spectrum in the States. I think that's the thing.
They were never sold in America, were they?
Yeah, they were. They were licensed to Timex. Timex made them.
Oh right.
And
I thought the only NTS. I thought the only NTSC versions were sold in Chile or something weird.
No, they were sold all over the place. But the Timex ones were made by co-branded Timex Sinclair, and they're actually slightly different hardware-wise. They're different amount of RAM and a slightly different for some reason.
Right. Okay. I quite like this game, I have to say. I didn't enjoy it as much back then as I do now. I could see myself actually burning some time, when I've got some time to myself just to play this game.
I think it's one of those ones where you get frustrated. You die on like chamber number 6, and then you just really want to get past it, and so you will play it one more go.
Yeah, it's definitely got that one more go appeal.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I think we've seen enough.
Have we seen enough? Have we?
Yeah,
so we're gonna sum up our thoughts.
Yes.
All right then. Well, I'll leave that.
Show us the title.
We'll move to the
cover art.
This one, like that.
So, what did you think of Manic Miner?
I think I hate that game equally on both platforms. It's just too frustrating, and resetting the whole level and you being back at the start of the whole level is terrible. That's pretty
normal though, isn't it, for games of that era?
Well, no, because we've just seen a platformer that doesn't do that.
Yeah, but this is more story than just like flat levels. There's no. So Manic Miner is the precursor to Jet Set Willy, and Jet Set Willy had what this has.
Yeah.
It was like screen flipping, and it was a map rather than just a linear progression of level 1 through to level 20.
Yeah.
So, of the two platforms that you hated both, which one was the least worst?
The least worst was the Commodore, because what it did have going for it is the graphics are a little bit tighter. There's a little bit more colour there. There's a little bit more variety. And the ear bleeding, well, I can't even call it music on the Spectrum. Is just, I'm sure there were parts of the world where that was used as a form of torture to, get information out of people.
Yeah, you're wrong. I think the Commodore version, the color. I think the fact the colors look all washed out didn't help. But the problem is we're going to get that in every single game. I'm always going to be tainted with that feeling of the colors being washed out, and I don't know why, but I feel like the collision detection on the Spectrum one was better. That second icicle on the first level, I can get the hat of Minor Willy really close to that on the Spectrum version, but it's like there's a square hit target around it on the Commodore. It really feels like it's not quite.
No, you just suck, unfortunately, Alan. That's really what it comes down
to. Okay. And then Bruce Lee.
I'm torn on this one, because I think the gameplay is as good on both. I didn't play the Commodore 64 version this evening, but I like both. I prefer the graphics on the Commodore 64. Obviously, Sumo Guy is green. Despite the borderline racist nature, Bruce Lee has a colour to him as well. The lanterns I prefer. The animation, the shape of the graphics is better. It's a bit blocky on the Spectrum. And I know you haven't played the Spectrum version, but I feel like
I've seen enough
harder.
of
it. it's the enemies on the Spectrum version are just a touch harder. Which I'm not such a fan of, because it blocks your progression and that come back and play again feeling.
Right. So from what I could see, the graphics again, I think it's pretty similar between the two.
It's not.
The Commodore has, it's got a twinkling. A single pixel comes on and off to make the things twinkle. The Spectrum has colours. I think the use of colour in that. I think the use of colour in that was really good. I think, especially in the underground, where you had the plants and the brickwork and the lattice, I think that looked really genuine. I think they did a really good job with that. And the animation seemed faster and more fluid on the Spectrum than it did on the Commodore.
Yeah, so I do agree. We've definitely observed that this evening. It's interesting playing the two side by side and seeing that. I'm not prepared to admit that is the Spectrum being superior yet. I'm going to put that down to maybe we need to tinker with the emulators. a little bit.
Okay. All right. So, what are we doing? I don't think we have we?
What haven't we done?
No, we haven't. We haven't decided what games we're going to play next time.
I thought we had.
Maybe we could. Well, we've got some suggestions, but I think what we really need is more suggestions for other people think we should play, because otherwise we'll just all be playing all our favorite games. And I quite like the idea of discovering different stuff from other people.
Totally.
So if you leave a comment here or send us a tweet, or we've got a link to our Discord, and drop by the Discord and suggest stuff in there.
Yeah, Discord's a good place to have a chat about this after the fact.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave a comment on YouTube, or send us a message via Instagram or something if you want to.
So,
because we are everywhere.
Are we sort of wrapping things up now?
That's what I was trying to do. Yes.
Okay then. So,
any last words?
No, you've hit all the right points there. So, come and let us know what you think. Let us know how we can improve. This was obviously our first go at this. I'd love to get some game ideas from people as well. So, And if you could all head over to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If we get enough subs, it unlocks some additional features that we'd like to take advantage of, which would be handy.
Yes. At this point, we have to ask you to subscribe and click the little notification bell.
Ding the bell, mash the like button, something about Twitter. Yeah, all of those things.
We are too old for this. Do it anyway, right? Just go with it. Just do it anyway. And maybe we'll see you next time with some more 8-bit verses.
And I think we can all agree the Commodore 64 was the superior system on the go. Well done. Thank you all. We'll catch you next time.
Good night.
Bye.